The Goat House is back with score predictions and picks against the spread for every single NFL game in week 15 here every Wednesday with this video. Got a beautiful slate of games this week. Let's take a look. An absolute battle on Thursday Night Football potentially for the NFC West, as both teams maybe look like they're starting to heat up based off last week. I'm going to take the Rams 27-24. Just don't want to overthink it. The Niners are still very beat up, still waiting to hear if some other guys will play. I mean, big ones, Nick Bosa, Trent Williams, but Rams are rolling right now, 44 points in the Bills last week. I know the defense struggled, played against the Bills and Josh Allen. This is the time of the year where Matt Stafford clicks in the gear, McVay clicks in the gear. They become more than just a playoff team, more of a serious contender, at least a sneaky contender. So I think the Rams do enough offensively. Stafford does enough. I think Kyren Williams is a solid day as well. So both the pass and the running game. Niners are favored in this one, so it makes it a little scary, but it's because they could click into gear. It's that time of the year, but they are home in primetime football, which usually they win those games. So, but still just very beat up, and they always have that sloppy mistake, especially off a win. Special teams have been costly this year, but I'm just going to trust the healthier team, the team that looks better right now. I'm going to go with the Rams 27-24. I almost want to say bet money line or bet the Rams +3. Again, it's a little scary in San Fran, prime time, but I feel really good if you tease the Rams at +7.5. Could do 6.5 as well, which is always a little risky, but I do feel pretty solid about the Rams. But this should be a really good game, close game either way on Thursday Night Football. Chiefs and Browns. I mean, chances are this game could stay close and the Chiefs could win towards the end, get a clutch victory like they normally do. I'm going to go 24-19, so close to that spread that I would pass. This is a little tricky as well because the Chiefs cannot cover the spread, it seems, and everyone and their mother are betting on the Browns here +4 because the Chiefs just do not cover the spread. I think the line drops because of that, though. I think normally the spread here would be like 6.5, somewhere around there. So I think they already factored that in. I think this is the time the Chiefs cover. Possibly it's going to be really close. I have them winning by 5, but I know the Browns offense has looked pretty decent since Jameis Winston's taken over, but I think there's more of a game plan out there now. Chiefs create some turnovers. They win the game. They've just been a little underwhelming on offense here, but the Browns starting to get a little beat up as well. I'm not going to bet on this one, but I'll take the Chiefs 24-19. Got a feeling they just cover. Bengals and Titans. I'll go with the Bengals 26-19. It's a little tricky of a game because sometimes the Titans play pretty good defense, right? And it feels like anybody can score on the Bengals. Problem is the Titans are really struggling after they were starting to heat up a little bit. They only scored 6 on the Jags last week. Honestly, the Jags defense is probably better than the Bengals, especially lately. But so I do think Tony Pollard could have a day. Will Levis a little beat up as well. Titans will score. I'm not expecting a ton of points from them. I'm still not sure how they put up 32 on the Texans. The Bengals offense can score on anybody. I like a 26-19 game. Tempted to go Bengals -4.5, but they are pretty bad closing games out. They were about to blow that last game until that botched special teams play for the Cowboys, obviously, even though it was a block at first. But the Titans could be a little sneaky on this one, but I do like the Bengals to win if you want to tease that one. We had a lot of teasers in this. I don't really like straight up lines except for one in this one, but -1.5 feels pretty good. They should have the advantage because they can score on pretty much anyone, and the Titans offense isn't going to be one of those offenses that just scores like 30 plus points to beat the Bengals like how they've been losing. So 26-19 is what I have for Cincinnati. Commanders and Saints. I got the Commanders winning 24-13. This one could be a little interesting because remember the Commanders, they're off the bye. Their more recent game they played, they obliterated the Titans. Now it is the Titans. Right before that, they're on a 3-game losing streak and really struggling on offense. Teams were starting to properly game plan for that Jaden Daniels offense. So it's why it's a little bit of a mystery. Can that be the case here? I mean, the Saints played pretty good defense last week. They played the Giants, but could the Saints come out and play some pretty good defense against this offense that maybe is starting to get figured out? I think it's possible. Off the bye, they get a little healthier, especially at the running back position. Brian Robinson Jr. probably has a good day on the ground. The Saints aren't too great stopping the run right now. So I think the Commanders will do enough in this one. But for those reasons, that's why it's a little scary to bet the 7. 7's a big line, obviously. But the Saints, no Derek Carr. He's week to week. Probably should be out for the year, to be honest. They didn't look that great without Taysom Hill last week. Commanders are expected to get Marshawn Lattimore back just in time for the Saints here. So that's interesting. But that'll be fun, obviously, to watch. So I'll take the Commanders winning 24-13. It's another good one to tease, as 7 is a pretty big line. Even though I do with the score, I do have them covering that. Ravens versus Giants, a whopping 15 spread. The Baltimore Ravens favored by a whopping 15. It's pretty crazy. I think that might be the largest on the year someone's been favored by. And so right off the bat, that's a big spread. Let's take the Giants plus 15, right? Well, off the bye, a perfect matchup for the Ravens because the Giants are the worst team in football right now, and they are absolutely awful stopping the run, and the Ravens run the ball as good as anyone, so the Ravens should obliterate them. But then you got to factor in, do the Giants score late? Do the Ravens kind of look ahead? They have some massive big games coming up. So it's a little tricky with that 15 spread. I have the Ravens winning by 14. Again, I think the Giants could score late. I don't expect them to do much with DeVito at quarterback on offense. But again, the Ravens could be looking ahead. After they get a good lead, they could be looking ahead to some of these bigger games coming up. They'll have to take on the Steelers again. What do they have? The Texans coming up. They got some big games. So we'll have the Ravens winning this one 27-13. Jets and Jags. The Jags wearing those throwbacks. Love those. But the Jets are favored by 3. And I like the way the Jets match up against the Jags in this game. I have them winning 20-13. And what's kind of going unnoticed recently is the Jets are actually playing better. I'd say maybe not on defense, but they're actually playing better. They had the Seahawks. If it wasn't for that pick 6, that changed the game completely. And they had the Dolphins. They outplayed the Dolphins for 3 quarters. They had a letdown in the 4th quarter, didn't get the ball in overtime. So they're playing some pretty good teams, and they actually look like they're playing better on offense, believe it or not. While the Jags did win last week, they are playing better on defense. It was the Titans last week. The Titans actually did move the ball. The Jags got stops on 4th downs in the red zone. I like the way the Jets match up here, and I would say bet the Jets -3 because they're playing better. They should be able to score. I don't expect Mac Jones to be able to do a whole lot against the Jets, but the Jags are actually covering the spread quite a lot this year. So that's the only thing scaring me off the actual line here. But I will say if you flip it, put the Jets at +3.5, that feels like a lock. If they lose, it's only going to be by a couple points. If they win, then you're safe, obviously. And I do like the under at 40.5. I don't see the Jags, Mac Jones and the Jags scoring enough points in this game to contribute to that hitting over 40.5. So give me the Jets around the range of 20-13. Cowboys and Panthers. This actually could be a fun game. Should be a really solid game. The Cowboys are +2.5. I have the Panthers just covering that spread. It's a little tricky because the Cowboys realistically could win this game. Both teams are playing better football. So another one that I wouldn't actually bet the actual line, but I would tease the Panthers +3.5 because if they lose, it's going to be very, very tight. What to look for in this game. Man, I actually think better offense than defense. I would almost say a shootout, which would result in more than a 24-20 final. But there's going to be a ton of running clock in this game because both these teams are going to pound the football, and they are going to run it successfully. These are 2 terrible teams stopping the run, stopping running backs here. So look for Chuba Hubbard and Rico Dowdle, who's looking really good, by the way. Look for both to go off in this game. And, of course, other guys will go off. Adam Thielen's been playing great for the Panthers. And CeeDee Lamb's probably going to go off. Bryce Young, but that's the difference in this game. There's two things I'm watching for. Well, one, what I fully expect and why I'm picking the Panthers. 2 pretty even teams. They're playing a little bit better. They both have the same strengths and weaknesses for the most part. They're both going to run the shit out of the ball. Who's going to make that extra play in the passing game? I'm going to trust Bryce Young. He's playing very, very well right now. I'm going to trust the Panthers passing game a bit more actually, but they don't have CeeDee Lamb at the same time. But I'm going to trust them a little bit more than the Cowboys, resulting in them win. But what I'm watching for, a key here, is the Panthers' offensive line because that could be the game changer that helps the Cowboys win the game. The Panthers' offensive line's been playing much better recently, but Micah Parsons and company could get after Bryce Young, cause some problems, and they could win the game for that reason. But I'll take the Panthers. I'm feeling 24-20. Watch for the running backs. You could tease Carolina +3.5. Feel pretty good about that one. But, yeah, a lot of running clock, a lot of running back action in this one. Should be fun. This is going to be a good one here. Dolphins versus Texans. It feels like a must-win for both these teams, actually. Even though the Texans beat the Colts twice, it's a little scary because the Texans are starting to go south, it feels like, before the bye here. And the Colts have a very easy schedule the rest of the way, except for this week after that. So the Texans gotta figure it out for playoff time here. and it feels comfortable right now, but it could get a little scary. And the Dolphins, they got to almost be flawless if they want to make it in the AFC. That we know they're talented enough. Slipped up a little bit last week. They got to go on the road here. I feel like they're much better at home than away. The Texans could figure some things out off the bye. They're such a talented team. They haven't been playing like it, but they're a very talented team. So I think now's the time off the bye they kind of click into playoff gear and for sure, take this division. The difference here will be the Texans pass rush, getting after Tua, getting that extra sack that potentially wins that game here. So I'll take Houston in a squeaker, 24-23, but a game that can go either way. Which Texans are going to show up? Which Dolphins are going to show up? They didn't even look that good last week. They didn't look that good the last 2 weeks, but before that, they were looking really good. So pretty interesting. Very curious about which teams show up, if both, if one, if neither. Very interesting. I'll take the Texans by 1 point. This one could be a little bit of a trap game. The Broncos are favored by 4. I'll have them winning. I think this will stay very close. I also could see the Colts winning. So this one could be. This is a big game, by the way. This is huge because for those last couple wild card spots or just getting a wild card spot after this game, the Colts schedule is pretty easy. So if they win this game, it's looking pretty good for them. While the Broncos schedule is a little tougher. So. These two teams are battling for a playoff spot potentially, and if the Broncos win this, it looks pretty good for them. So huge in Denver, that altitude, a home field advantage. Bo Nix is playing better. I think he can have a solid day. The Broncos need to get healthier on defense because it's night and day difference. When they're healthier on defense, it looks like a great defense versus a bad defense when it's not. So that'll be key as well. But I think they can create some turnovers off Anthony Richardson. So they'll squeak by and win this game. But I totally could see the Colts playing spoiler here and winning it. It's kind of what they do. It's going to stay close. So if you want to tease the Colts, plus 8.5, feel really comfortable about that. You could bet them with the +4. I mean, there's a scenario where the Broncos defense goes back to playing at a very, very high level. They create a bunch of turnovers and they win big. I guess there's a scenario there. But I like this game to be close here. We'll take Denver squeaking by. Make sure to check out our weekly pick show. It's already up for Week 15. Loads of NFL content here, so like, subscribe, turn notifications on me. Much appreciated. But a big one here that I am still waiting on key injury information. It's earlier on Wednesday as I'm talking right now, so still waiting on some stuff. Right now, I'm feeling the Bills, and we're going to have a shootout here in this one. I think everyone's going to have a shootout. I got the Bills winning 30-28, bouncing back from last week. It is in Detroit. Detroit's wearing those black jerseys. That's nice. The Lions are the best team in football right now. I mean, I definitely could see them winning, but yeah, looking for a few key injuries. I mean, that's kind of my thinking here. Like, can they continue to win these big games? Can they beat a juggernaut while completely beat up, even though they're not beat up in those super important, well, they are beat up in some important spots. They have been with Hutchinson all year, though, but does Decker play? Because that's pretty important. I think Lee McNeil's the big one here. And I keep hearing things like Lee McNeil is progressing, but he's still in concussion protocol. I keep hearing things that they're likely, it's Lions reporters saying they're likely to get multiple key guys back, but is there any evidence of that right now? It's still early. Still want to see if these guys practice, so it's a little tough. Lee McNeil's a big one for me because if he is out, the Lions are typically they're really, really good stopping a run, one of the best in football. But when some of these guys are out on the interior, they're not so great. Look at the last couple of weeks. I think it was the matter of the Packers just running earlier in the game. They waited a little bit. That was their mistake. So I think the Bills can come out. Josh Allen can run on them. James Cook can run on them. And, the Lions are playing a lot of man coverage while a little injured right now, too. So I think Josh Allen should be able to throw on them as well. So they will score some points here. But if Lee McNeil's back, I mean, if multiple of those defensive linemen are back, then that's great. They could stop the run, and they could win the game then. And we're kind of on the offense side of the ball. We're looking for Taylor Decker. Is he playing? So still some questions here when it comes to the Lions. But the Lions should have a lot of success on offense, though, because it's a great offense, and the Bills struggle to stop the run, and the Lions are one of the best running the football. So they could come out, control the clock, and win that way. Will they convert their fourth downs? I don't see why not, but that could decide the game as well. My gut's telling me the Bills bounce back here. I know the defense was awful last week, but I feel like the Rams threw some new things at them. It's kind of what McVay does at this time of the year. I don't think the Lions have anything new. They're still very, very tough to stop. But we'll go with Josh Allen, getting through here. Just getting by, but I'm looking at some of these key injuries. If all these Lions guys are back, like Lee McNeil, Taylor Decker, there's several of them. then I'd probably pick the Lions, to be honest. So I could switch that one. We'll take the Bills for right now. There's a little fun parlay I kind of came up with. If you move the Bills to plus 7.5, that feels really comfortable there. Over 49.5, it's set at 53.5. I think it goes over that, but if you bump that down a little bit, and then I think Jahmyr Gibbs is the most likely touchdown scorer in this game because the Bills, they struggle to stop the run, but I like the home run hitters against the Bills. So Gibbs just being able to hit that long run, whether it's a run or a catch out of the backfield. So that feels like a pretty good parlay. That's just a lot of fun. Throw a couple bucks on it. Why not? I believe it would be plus 200 right now, so it looks pretty good. But again, monitoring some injuries in this one still. For right now, we'll go with the Bills, but that's one to watch. Always giving you updates on our Twitter. Steelers and Eagles could be a good one, a battle for Pennsylvania. It's tough that George Pickens is out. That kind of gives the Steelers, puts them a little bit more of a disadvantage in terms of their downfield game on offense. But yeah, to me, in my opinion, I think it should be everyone's opinion. These are the two best defenses in football right now. So we'll see. It's a battle for the best defense. It's in Philly, no George Pickens. So we'll side with the Eagles. We'll side with Saquon Barkley. It's something the Steelers don't have, even though Najee's playing pretty well. So we'll take the Eagles, I think, really close here. I'm looking for the Eagles defense because it's been surprisingly elite this year. Insane amount better than last year. Last week, maybe the Panthers put some things on tape. The Panthers didn't go crazy against them. Maybe they put some things on tape, and the Steelers offense is different than it's ever been. So I could see a scenario where maybe they get going, expose some things possibly. But it has the makings, especially with Pickens out, and these two teams liking to run the football, run the clock. This has the makings of being a lower scoring game. I'll take the Eagles 20, Steelers 17. 5.5 seems like a lot. I know they're missing Pickens and it's in Philly, so it makes it a little tricky. But if you tease it at plus 10.5, I don't see how the Steelers get dominated in this game. I don't see that scenario. I mean, watch it happen just because I said it, but I just don't see that. Should stay, as a close game, but the Eagles having the edge with Saquon and being home and with Pickens out. Patriots, Cardinals. I'm going to take the Cardinals, but in a close one, 23-20. The Cardinals haven't been playing great football recently. Kyler Murray is really going downhill. He was looking like, not quite MVP, but top 5, top 10 at least quarterback. The start for a majority of the year, the bye hit, and he's has very costly turnovers right now. They get back on track in this game. I think they realize that they're a run-first team, actually, and they'll do that, and they'll be successful at that in this game and at home, and that'll be the reason why they win the football game. I think Kyler plays all right. I don't think he blows it, but it should stay pretty close. It's hard to sit here and say the Cardinals will cover 6, even though it's the Patriots. It's just the way the Cardinals have been playing, so it's not really one I would bet on because I could see a scenario where the Cardinals kind of get back on track. They're on a 3-game losing streak. Is that going to continue? Probably not. They're probably due to get going. They're a little cold off the bye, but I'm going to go 23-20 Cardinals in this one. Bucks and Chargers should be a really close game. I'm kind of counting on Ladd McConkey playing for this prediction, but I'll have the Chargers winning 24-23. Antoine Winfield Jr. is out for the Bucks, and they already have kind of a questionable secondary, questionable pass defense. The Chargers have not been able to put together much offense, but now's the time to go. They play a weaker pass defense. Herbert can get going in this game through the air. They'll do enough offensively. They have a very good defense, and Baker's starting to have some turnovers, and the offensive line's not playing great, so Chargers could get after him, but still an explosive offense that's going to make some plays, and the defense is playing better, and the Chargers' offense has been a little underwhelming, so I think we'll have spurts in this game with offense, and then we'll have moments, a stretch with defense, and kind of back and forth there, so I'll go the Chargers in a squeaker, 24-23. Even though I think it's going to be close, I am quite confident because the matchup, they should be able to throw the ball. If McConkey plays, I'm quite confident with them, but not really one I would bet on here. Packers and Seahawks, and the Packers are really beat up too. I'm monitoring some injuries there. They have a lot of injuries on defense here. So see if Alexander's back, Edgerrin Cooper. They had multiple safeties go down last week, so that could cost them with the receivers the Seahawks have. So it's a little bit of a tricky one, but the Packers heat up at this time of the year. We kind of saw it the last 2 weeks, even though they lost last week. The offense typically heats up. Josh Jacobs is playing very well. Jordan Love playing much better. Doesn't really look, the way he's moving doesn't look, as injured anymore. Look like he was playing injured for a while. So I know that's the tricky part. Seahawks defense is playing great. It's playing great recently, but they played the Cardinals twice. They played the Jets in there. I'm not going to take anything away. I think the Seahawks are legit, and their defense is legit, but it's a little bit more of a challenge here. So I'll take Green Bay 26-23. I think a little more offense. I was surprised about the total. It's at 45.5. I think that goes over. I think that line comes from the Seahawks defense, right? And maybe they keep playing out of their minds and the Packers score less than 26. I don't think it'd be much less, but look at the Packers. Their defense isn't playing that great right now. You can move the ball on them. They're a little beat up. So I think both teams score. I think the Seahawks defense is really good, but I think that line is kind of using recent game numbers, playing the same team twice over the last 3 weeks and playing the Jets in the middle there. The Jets were starting to move the ball as well. So again, great defense. I don't think they're not playing the Cardinals or the Jets in this game. So I like the Packers 26-23, a game that can go either way, and I do like it just hitting that over there. 2 Monday Night Football games, Bears, Vikings. I mean, the Vikings, there's no reason the Vikings shouldn't win this game big. They should win this game big by at least this amount. They should win this game just because the Bears, the season's lost. It just doesn't. It feels messy over there right now, and the Vikings offense is hot right now. They're a hot team right now. They're playing very, very well. The Bears defense isn't the same what it was. The offense stalls out for multiple quarters. The Vikings should win this game big. I mean, looking at last time, the Bears doubled, even sometimes they tripled. I don't know if it was on purpose, but they tripled Jefferson, and they stopped Justin Jefferson. But Addison and Hawkinson went crazy. So and looking at what Addison did last week, the Bears got to be going, all right, we actually have to cover these guys this time. So I think that kind of opens things up for Jefferson, and those guys still can play well. And then the way the Vikings ran the ball on the Bears last time, I think it was just a matter of running it more. You would have ran the clock out. You would have won a lot earlier. So I think the Bears are in a tough situation because what the Vikings did on offense last time and what they're capable of doing. So the Vikings should win big. The problem with betting that is these games are always weird. These Bears-Vikings games, I think all NFC North games, they always seem to be very weird. Anything can happen. We saw the Bears came back. It felt like it was over and just madness, and an onside kick goes to overtime. So we could expect a lot of that. I think the Vikings will be up huge at halftime. The Bears do seem like a second-half offense. So it could be a weird game. The Vikings are wearing those brand new all-white, clean uniforms at home. Third straight game at home. Bears were away last week. So the Vikings should be motivated. So I'm more of an X's and O's guys rather than the weird shit happens guy. So I'll go with the Vikings should win this game by a good amount. If they don't, something weird happened. Somebody got lucky. Some fluke happened. I don't know. Those things seem to happen. So 31-20 Minnesota is what I got. Wouldn't bet on it, though, just because it's that NFC North rival game. The other Monday Night Football game, can Kirk Cousins get it together? He's thrown 8 straight interceptions without throwing a touchdown. I think he gets it together. I don't think he plays out of his mind or anything in this game, but it's funny. Look at the past years. Primetime Kirk was a thing. He didn't play as good. He didn't win in prime time. But in the other weeks, he played great. This year, guy looks like the opposite. He looked really solid in prime time earlier in the year, and he's been struggling, at noon kickoff, whatever time zone you're in. I think he gets going a little bit. I think Bijan Robinson has a day in this game. I like the Falcons to cover the 4. They get back on track, covering that 4 in primetime football. Desmond Ridder revenge game. It'd be pretty cool if Ridder goes out there and balls. He's playing a pretty weak defense. I mean, that defense looked awful last week. Played the hot Vikings offense. They didn't play Desmond Ridder last week. The defense actually played well 2 weeks ago against Justin Herbert and the Chargers. They've been getting a lot more pressure lately. The Falcons, I don't know what they're doing differently. They're getting a lot more pressure because they were like the worst in football for a bit. So I'm not overthinking this one. I don't think Ridder does enough. The Falcons win 24-16. They win by 11. They cover that 4 spread. It's a little scary because Kirk's playing like shit, but I think he plays all right. I think Bijan goes bonkers. Falcons win this one, so I do like that one a bit. That's actually my favorite, just straight up line. I had a lot of teasers in this one, but kind of recapping all the picks against the spread. You can kind of pause your screen. You can pause the video right now and take a look at those. I got an asterisk next to the Bills one because I am waiting for injuries. Aleem McNeil, Taylor Decker, Onwuzurike for the Lions and the defensive line. So, I mean, some people are acting like all these guys are going to be back. I think the Lions are going to win if all those guys are back. Aleem McNeil's the big one for me. That is the big one, but right now, 2 juggernaut teams. Bills trying to bounce back. How could a team that injured? I mean, they could. They're that good. But how could they continue to win these games if they do? I mean, it's even more. I thought we were at the height of impressiveness with the Lions, but we'll see if they can do it again. But that's a pick I could switch just because of the injuries, so we'll monitor those things. But that'll wrap it up for this one. Check out our weekly pick show. Most recent video had power ranks go up. We got all kinds of NFL content, several new videos every single week, so join us for all those. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on. Code GOAT, 20% off on Liquid IV. Some good stuff. That's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.